Well, I think it's going to be really valuable because we haven't really officially announced this. So we have officially launched our Longevity Archetype quiz, which is very exciting. We spent probably a little bit too much time developing this because we wanted it to be absolutely perfect.
And nothing can ever be perfect because your vision will be this, and then reality says, no, that's not actually possible, or the tech doesn't do that. But, oh well.
Well, it exists now. It's in the ether. I think this is, if we hadn't have created it, I would have been so excited to take it. So essentially, I still want to take it. So essentially, it's really unique in that it's giving. The problem that we always come back to when we do these lives and we talk about kind of where people are getting stuck, and especially on pocket coaching, is that it's hard to kind of narrow down and focus on one thing when you have all of the things. And it's hard to kind of like get your bearings in terms of where you're at in the journey. And so the goal of this was to help folks understand where they're at and help kind of move forward. And sometimes it's a matter of, I mean, my gosh, no matter what kind of health space you're in, sometimes it's a matter of you don't even know what you don't know. And that in and of itself is overwhelming. And so it also...
And it's disorienting as well. Going back to your thing of you don't know where you are in the journey. And that was something that I definitely experienced plotting my own way through a pathway. I literally had no compass, no map, no sense of this is how far you've gone and this is how far you've got left to go. Like, it was really like being in fog. It was kind of exciting fog once I started to work out that when I put my foot in front of the next foot, there was solid ground there. And exciting in the sense that the more I learned, the more, I don't know, the more the sun could like pierce that fog. And I was like, okay, this is actually leading me somewhere. I feel like there is that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. But it was very disorienting for a long time. And I was like, how much do I not know? This is outrageous. And any kind of marker along that journey would have been an absolute godsend. So I hope that this will be that marker, as well as that informative thing. I can sort of assess not just how much is out there waiting to be discovered, waiting to be implemented, but how far I've already come. Like where am I? What's the benchmark? What do I already know? What am I already good at that I maybe took for granted?
Yeah, that's really important aspect, is celebrating your wins. We start every coaching session with celebrate your wins. And people always say, I don't have any wins this week. And then when we actually start talking about it, they have like 20. And in the same way, if we're getting good at something and it kind of becomes a part of what we do, we tend to forget how well we're doing and just how important that is. That's a really crucial part of the process, because otherwise it can become discouraging as you learn more and you're like, whoa, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Well, like, you're not going to ever do, likely, unless you're Penny, all the things for your pets all the time. Right. But it's this continued journey, and every step that you take is a cause for celebration. So essentially how the quiz works is it's a series of questions, and you basically tick the boxes related to each of the pillars. So there's a section for your pet and a section for you. So you each get your own longevity archetype, and it'll be, the nutrition pillar. And it'll be, okay, well, do you check the boxes of these practices if you do them? And if not, don't check the box. And then you do that for each of the 7 pillars. And then you get this really unique scorecard that shows you what areas you're crushing it in and what areas you need to focus more on. And that gives you your archetype.
Simple as that. And you kind of get to see who's ahead in the longevity race. Like, are your pets leading? Like, have you given them more than you've given you? Or have you spoiled yourself and kind of forgot that there was some other bits that you could do? Like, who's winning? And it's not just the race itself, because it's a multifaceted thing, right? So in each of the 7 pillars, there's a chance to be ahead of the race or behind in the race. So are you leading on detox for you, but maybe your pets didn't get that one, but they're doing great on their food, and they're doing great on their sleep, for example, or whatever else. So it's a really nuanced one that you can tease out and get a lot of information in to see how you're tracking, but how can you improve, who's winning, how can you match what you're doing, whoever's in the lead on that pillar, for example, how can you match what you're doing for either yourself or your pet on that one to bring the other person up closer to getting those full marks.
And if I know our community at all, my guess is that most people are going to score higher for their pets than they are for themselves. We have a community of folks here who just absolutely do all the things all the time for their pets, and they're always focused on their health and wellness. And I'm always over here like, what about you? What about your nutrition? What about your exercise? What about your detox?
And we would be lost without you. Let's just be real. Let's just say that right now, because it is so easy to neglect. And we do get, I want to do it for someone else. There's a reward center thing that goes, oh, I get to give, I get to share, I get to bless, I get to, right? And we like that. And doing it on ourselves just feels either selfish or self-indulgent or something. So thank God you're here to let us know that it's okay to do it for us, that it is important to do it for us, that if we didn't do it for us, who would look after the pets? That our life is worthy and we're deserving. And sure, it'd be lovely if someone was showering us with those things, but in the absence of someone showering us with those things, we get to do that for ourselves.
Well said. Happy to be that person on your shoulder all the time. So the other kind of goal of this in our minds, because obviously we want the quiz to be fun, which I think it is, and we want it to be informative in terms of telling you where you're at now, but also giving the roadmap going forward is really that missing piece, right? Really the key that we wanted to bring in, because you can have information, but information for the sake of information doesn't do a whole lot. So it really kind of guides you into not only what pillars you'll want to start focusing more on for yourself and for your pet, but also kind of what that can look like within the pet and parent longevity community, because we've really created multiple different kind of spaces and paths that folks can go down based on what kind of support they want, based on what's going to best fit where they're at. So for example, someone who's just starting this journey and their longevity archetype was, explore and discoverer for themselves and their pets. And, your path moving forward is going to be very different than someone who's a master and a legend, right? Who's just like crushing it on all accounts, has been doing this for decades. And it's not that one path is better than the other. It's that it has to be individualized. It has to be. And this is why, blanket recommendations and statements and things like that about health and wellness kind of in the media often fall flat, because if it's not specific to you and where you're at in your journey, it's kind of worthless.
Or you tend to just block it out because you've heard it all a million times, quote unquote. And it's just too general and too general, I think, is the thing. Well, certainly for me, I spend a long time, like a large chunk of my life, really not thinking about my health at all, right? Genuinely. And you would hear all the things about, eat well and exercise this and play outside. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing those things. Like, so what? And I'm healthy. So it must be that easy. And then when you talk to people who've got a health condition, this was my experience. Like I would talk to friends or, and they'd go, oh my gosh, we got this, or my mum just got diagnosed with that. And I'm like, oh, so what are they doing? Oh, well, just some medicine because there's no cure, or and the health advice would be take this pill, eat well and exercise. And it was just this very broad, non-answer from my point of view. Maybe it was satisfying for them. I don't know. But from my point of view, I was like, that I'm so bored of hearing that same thing that means nothing. Like, of course, it's just common sense. Of course you would go and do that, but then I realized that not everyone does it, so that's fine. But until it becomes, here's the thing, are you not doing this thing here? Or in your specific case, because of your X, Y, and Z lifestyle, your precondition here, your preference to do it that way, your culture, your budget, whatever that might be, I tell you what, I have a solution for you that is tailored for you. Now your ears are pricking up because you're like, hang on, that is me. That's exactly me. And I want that thing because I think that might be the missing link. I'm not doing that thing. I didn't know that thing. Give me that thing so I can now set myself free. And that's a totally different story. And certainly when my pets have had something happen to them, and the answer was, there's nothing we can do, just take a pill. Like, I was so mad, I nearly smacked people at that point. I didn't, but I was just like,
I can see it happening.
can you just hear back what you just said? Like, This isn't just a cat or a dog. This is my cat and dog who has this entire life with me. I know all of their characteristics. I know all their behaviors. This is like my blood, sweat, and tears. This is like my family. This is my pride and joy. This is my best friend. This is my everybody. Do not just wipe them off as a statistic or something like that. Like, I got really cross. And it wasn't until I found the thing that was missing. And I was like, I'm going to do that thing. And I did that thing and the thing worked. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other world out here. I need someone to tell me what those things are. And I didn't find that person, so I did it myself. And now I can be a person for you. And this quiz, I think, is probably the first step. If you haven't taken a first step before, if you've only learned, if you've only gone, oh, wow, there's something out there. I didn't know there was something out there. Amazing. Welcome to the, hey, there is something out there, gang. And now take this quiz, find out what your thing is.
You mentioned that the advice given it falls short and that it's common sense. And I think it is common sense. I think that's true. I think the piece that people struggle with, well, a couple pieces. One is it's vague, right? Like you said, you're given a diagnosis and you're told, eat better, exercise. Okay, cool. I've heard that my whole life. What does that mean when there's a million different messages all the time in the media and in the community about what it means to eat well, what it means to live well, all of those things. So the one is, what does that actually mean? And when you have a 7-minute appointment with your doctor, your vet, that you can't get into that. So there's just not the scope. And then the second piece is support and guidance. Like, okay, great. I would love to eat better. I would love to move more. I would love to, support my pets, detox, whatever it is. What does that actually look like? Like, even if you have the information, implementing the information, right? Like, anyone ever heard of Google? Like, there's no shortage of information. But to your point, like, you had to, and I know I did this in my own journey, like, feel like you're clawing your way through it, and like it's hard versus having someone who's guiding you along, whether it's personal support, right, like one-on-one or small group, or guiding you along in terms of what we do in our membership and Rejuvenate. You have this curated little package of resources on a topic every month. So you don't have to go, I like my little, analogy of clawing through Google. You don't have to claw through Google. It's just right there for you. And it's kind of what you need to know, no fluff, reliable information from not just us, but experts in the field, both in human and animal longevity. And that's there for you. So that advice of just do better, live better, make better choices, it becomes real. Now you're empowered to do something. And like you said, once you started taking steps, it was like the sun came out and you were like, yes. And that's truly what it does feel like when you have those, even if it's not like a success in terms of an outcome, the reward of doing the things when you know that those things will pay off really can't be understated. Like,
And I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to add the thing, like, when we think about that 7-minute appointment, I don't know what it is in the UK, but it can't be much more than 7 minutes. Maybe it's 10 or 12 or something, but it's fairly a short appointment time. And you think about how long you've seen that doctor. Like, have you seen that doctor since you were born? Like, did that doctor help deliver you almost, and then watch you grow and be your family doctor? And do they know your mum and dad and, seeing you through your journey so that when you walk in that door for 7 minutes, there's a relationship there. There's an understanding there. There's a connection there. There's trust there. I don't think that's the case really anymore. Like, I had that in Australia growing up. Like, my family doctor was our family doctor. He was our doctor for our family. Everyone knew him. He knew us, right? And you could go and he'd go, oh, how's this blah, blah, blah going in your normal life, right? And it was totally like seeing a friend who then just wrote messy writing on a piece of paper and gave you a thing, right? So, but it's different. Like, I haven't had that here in the UK. And I think that relationship thing is huge, really huge. I didn't try to think when's the last time I had that relationship with a vet, because they change, they come and go, they leave the profession now. You move house and you can't go to the same one, or they retire or whatever it is. And without that trust, and that's why I think the family that we build here with the pet and parent people like you guys is a huge filling of a hole that most of us have, but didn't actually put our finger on it and be able to say that piece is missing. But what I hear in terms of like feedback and people saying what they like about being in here is I found someone else who's on the same journey, who understands me. I don't have to go through a lot of back history and explain why I believe a certain thing or why something is important. My value system is immediately understood. My journey is understood. My desire for the outcome that I want is understood. And someone else is walking it with me. So whether I've met them or not, I can connect with them. I feel safe here. I feel understood here. I feel like I belong here. And then if you do have the chance to build connections with each other, or to meet and spend time with us in our Q&As or in our coaching or anything where we're interfacing with you directly, then we're here to support you and to build that relationship, to build that friendship, that, like-mindedness thing. And I would have, oh my gosh, I'm almost crying thinking about how much I would have wanted that when I was taking that pathway. For someone to say, hey, I might not have all the answers, or maybe I do have answers, go here, but just to say, I know what it's like. And I will be your friend through this. I'll congratulate you when you find a solution. I will help you when you're struggling with not finding a solution. But I'll just be your friend in that process. I don't know. I think that's, if we had more friendship, more trust around our health journeys, because our pets trust us, and we trust them, right? But who do we go to for the higher authority for that level of trust?
I think that that's just such a relatable experience. And how did we get here from the quiz? That's what I'm wondering. It is such a relatable experience. And, we're talking about resources. Yeah. So I think most people who are in this community have experienced something similar. And that's why our community is so strong. And people are, someone posts in the Facebook group a question, and, 5 people answered in a day with their own experiences and tips and tricks. And sometimes it's, I don't know, but I hear you, and I've been there, and that's uplifting. So whatever kind of support best suits you in terms of where you're currently at, again, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just going to look different. And it should be individualized. It should be to help you take the next steps. Not only that emotional, we hear you, we've been there 110%, but also, okay, this is how we can get unstuck. So I'm going to share that link for the quiz again, and we'll put it in the Facebook group as well. But take the quiz and find out your longevity archetype, your pet's longevity archetype, and identify not only the overarching theme, but each of the individual 7 pillars. Where are your strengths? Where are the areas that you need to focus on more to get to that next level? And what kind of resources within pet and parent longevity we have to support you in that journey. So I guess that's it for today. Take the quiz. If you love it, which we hope you do, please let us know. We put so much love into this for you, and share it with a friend as well. So that's it for today. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern.
I love how you have to think about that.
I have to think about it every